I'm Kerry Peters, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how we work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. In this season of the Get Your New View podcast, we will be talking with you all about training. This week, we're going to talk about the power of documentation as part of your training process. There are a lot of different schools of thought about documentation, whether it's useful, whether it's not, especially related to technology. I will tell you that I've put a lot of thought toward this, and I still haven't really reached my conclusion because I guess the answer that I have for it is it depends. One of the disadvantages of documentation with technology is that it very quickly becomes out of date. So if you spend a lot of manual time putting together documentation that has to very quickly be revised, then that is often not very value-added time. The other circumstance could be where you have a lot of process change happening. So maybe your software is staying the same, but your processes are changing quite frequently. So these are instances where you might think twice about investing a lot of time in documentation. One of the key times in your company's history when I think documentation is critical is when you have changed a lot of processes. So if you have been through that and you're going to be incorporating those new processes into a new way of doing things, this is where it's critical to be able to document that information. Really, what you're going to avoid is what I like to call blank brain panic. So this happens a lot when companies change their processes significantly or maybe move from a prior software package to a new software package where things look differently and the flows of tasks move differently. And the first day or two, maybe even the first week, you'll have a lot of people who, even if they've been appropriately trained and they have done testing and they've been involved in practicing, will say, "We've got the new system and now I can't remember what to do." This is a completely normal adult reaction. It happens all the time, and it really is a panic response to a lot of change or something new with some pretty high stakes expectations on it. So think about your team and who might be likely to have that blank brain panic. Having documentation can help with that. Making sure that people know that the documentation exists and is available for their use. Making sure that they've read the documentation before, that it's not completely new to them, so that they've really vetted the documentation, they trust it, they know that it's correct, and it's going to help them along the path, so that people can grab their manual and just say, okay, what was it that we learned in class last week or the week before? And what is it that we said we were going to do when we changed this process? So that type of thing is where documentation can really save your project and make that a lot easier on your people. Another situation where documentation can be crucially helpful is to help people to stay on the same page. It's not unusual with process change for us to say, here's the new way we're going to do it. Everybody's on board. We're all ready to go that direction. And then once it comes time to execute on that, to do that in our real world scenario, for whatever reason, we regress to the old way. A lot of times I hear those reasons being that it's slower. So many times new processes that we design to be more efficient are slower in the beginning because people are learning to do them a new way. It truly is faster, and if you measure it, it's going to have fewer steps, but because people hesitate, because they're double checking, because they're unsure in the beginning, it always takes a little bit longer. until people have made the leap. So a lot of times we'll see people give up where they don't get past the learning curve and they go back to the old way of doing things. So one of the things that I like to do in this case is if we have a big process change, and in particular if we have something like an implementation where we're going with a brand new system where there's a lot that's new, I do like to incorporate some accountability, and I use documentation as a tool for that. So if we have a go live where people have started using a new software, or we've just started new processes that we haven't done before, and if I come in a month after that and check with people and say, hey, we documented this process to be done this way. Is everybody still using these steps? I will very often find that the answer is no, that they've gone back to the old way of doing things. So this is a golden opportunity to circle back. First of all, to figure out if there's really something that truly isn't working. If we've vetted it out, that should not be the case. But then to go back and remind people, this is why we wanted to do it the new way. This is the benefit. This is the time savings. This is the reason why we're going to this new way. This is a change management technique. Change is hard. People don't always do well with it. So documentation to help to enforce accountability, where everybody has agreed that they're going to do something a new way, can be incredibly helpful. So related to that, if we're going to do some accountability check-in related to documentation, another thing that I like to do with companies is I like to build in some follow-up training about a month after they go live. So you could really combine these two things, make them the same type of event. This is a very useful time to have some additional training because people will have a whole lot of new questions after they've used the system for 30 days. A new go live where we have a new system or very different practices or processes is often one of those situations where you don't know what you don't know, right? Nobody's experienced the hang-ups, the problems, the pitfalls, the challenges that they're going to have with the new stuff. We can't possibly come up with all those situations in testing and training. And certainly people do in the first 30 days of using that tool in their new job. So this is a great time to have an experienced trainer come out, perhaps the person who did the training for you in the first place, and reinforce those concepts and answer new questions with a different lens. I guarantee you, you'll see that they'll take things a level deeper now that people have had a chance to try things. So having that follow-up training will allow to have some debate and apply some experience to the things they just didn't know to ask in the beginning. I have to tell you a little bit about a product that I like to use for documentation. The product is called ClickLearn, and this is a product that we use as we are creating training documents for our customers and our students, and even within our own company. This is an incredibly robust product, and there's a lot that it can do. And one of the features that I like the best is that you can create documentation inside of the software, and you can record it. And if you have a new version of the software, or if your software changes significantly, you can reshoot the documentation to upgrade it to the next version. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you have significant changes. There's a lot more to this product than that one. That is one of my favorite things, but I find that using something like this really makes it easier for our team to provide some very professional quality documentation that is not immediately obsolete, and really makes it a lot faster to put it together. So we don't have to spend so much time designing documents from scratch. If you think about documentation with a longer term lens, you can also consider that documentation really becomes your memory. You might make a whole lot of changes and then you don't really remember what they all were or why you decided to do that. Your documentation can help you with that. And certainly, as we move down the road and we have new people who come in, being able to provide that information to them so that they have some type of resource other than somebody verbally telling them or showing them how to do their new job can be incredibly helpful as well. So here's the thing to think about this week. What kind of documentation do you have now? And what is it that you would like to have? How can you use documentation in your organization to help to become your memory, to be helpful for new people, and to give people the resources that they need to avoid things like blind brain panic? In our next episode, we're going to talk about making connections with processes upstream and downstream from the process that you're receiving training on. I'm Kerry Peters. Thank you for tuning in to the Get Your New View podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to ensure that you get notified whenever new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple Podcasts. If you are ready to rethink today for tomorrow, look for the link below and contact us to speak with our expert team. You won't find the level of no-nonsense, real-world experience we offer anywhere else, and we're here to put that experience to work for you. Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you suspect that there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.